The silence of the mansion was shattered by an impossible sentence. "You're back, Daddy." Henry Blackwell froze at the top of the stairs. His heart skipped a beat. The girl was standing in the foyer, barefoot, holding an old rag doll. Her eyes, they were identical to his. Not just similar. They were a mirror image. Henry had never had children. At least, that's what he believed. The child tilted her head and smiled, as if she'd known him forever. "I knew you'd remember me eventually." Henry Blackwell was one of the most powerful businessmen in New York City. A billionaire. Private. Cold. A man who controlled everything, except the past. The mansion where he lived was set far outside the city, surrounded by ancient trees and too much quiet. There, every hallway held memories he pretended to forget. The girl's name was Lily. Daughter of Rose, the new housekeeper who'd started just a few weeks earlier. Rose avoided eye contact. She spoke little. She always seemed scared. Henry tried to rationalize it. Resemblances happen. Coincidences too. But that night, looking in the mirror, he noticed something that made him break out in a cold sweat. The same small scar above the eyebrow. In the exact same spot. On the girl's face. After that first night, Henry Blackwell started noticing something he'd ignored before. The house wasn't silent anymore, it was watching. The mansion had always been too big for one man, but now the hallways seemed to stretch longer when he walked them, as if trying to slow him down. The sound of his own footsteps echoed strangely, unevenly. Sometimes, he felt like someone was walking right behind him, but when he turned, there was no one. Except Lily. The girl appeared in the most unexpected places. Always silent. Always staring straight at him. The morning after the encounter in the foyer, Henry came down for breakfast and found her sitting at the main table, swinging her short legs without touching the floor. The rag doll rested beside her untouched plate. "Good morning," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. "You were late today," Lily replied, without looking up. Henry frowned. "What do you mean?" She slowly raised her eyes. Her brown eyes had an unsettling gleam, like they held thoughts no child should have. "Usually you come down at 7:15. Today it was 7:28. Henry felt a chill crawl up his neck. That wasn't normal. In the days that followed, small coincidences started piling up. Too many coincidences. Lily knew exactly which doors creaked and which didn't. She knew where the house got coldest at night. She knew the name of the dog Henry had owned 20 years ago, an animal that had never appeared in recent photos or conversations. "Max," she said one afternoon, watching him stare at the empty garden. He liked to sleep there, near the hose. Henry dropped his glass. It shattered on the floor. "Who told you that?" he asked in a tense whisper. Lily just shrugged. "You did. Before you left." The words echoed in his head. "Before you left." At night, Henry started having strange dreams. Fragmented. A white room. Bright lights. A baby's cry. And a shaky signature on a contract he couldn't fully read. He always woke up in a cold sweat. He decided to watch Rose more closely. The woman seemed increasingly nervous. She hurried through the corners of the house, avoided long conversations, and when Lily said something odd, Rose reacted with barely contained panic, as if afraid the girl would say too much. One afternoon, Henry called her into his office. "Rose, how long have you been working for me again?" She hesitated. "A few weeks, sir." "And before that?" The silence stretched. Rose clenched her hands until her knuckles turned white. "I worked in clinics. As an assistant." Henry kept his gaze fixed on her. "What kind of clinics?" She swallowed hard. "Private clinics." That was enough to awaken something in him. That night, Henry accessed old files. He used passwords he hadn't typed in years. Encrypted folders appeared on the screen. Many were empty, others, corrupted. But one name kept showing up in forgotten metadata. Helix Institute. His stomach turned. It was impossible. The Helix Institute had officially closed over a decade ago, after hushed-up scandals and quiet settlements. Henry vaguely remembered investing there. Something about genetic innovation, nothing concrete, nothing he'd followed up on. Or so he believed. As he stared at the screen, he heard light footsteps behind him. "You found it," said the child's voice. Henry spun in his chair. Lily was at the office door, clutching the doll to her chest. "Found the place where it all started." "Lily," he took a deep breath. "You shouldn't be here." She came in anyway, walked to the bookshelf and pulled out a thick, old book. Behind it, a safe built into the wall was revealed. Henry's eyes widened. "How did you know about that?" Lily smiled. A smile too calm. "Because you showed me. Once. You said that's where the things that couldn't be forgotten, or remembered, were kept." Henry's hands shook as he opened the safe. Inside were yellowed documents, photos, and a metal thumb drive. Lily pulled out one of the photos and placed it on the desk. "Look." Henry felt the floor vanish beneath him. The photo showed him, younger, in a white lab coat. Beside him, a tired-looking woman held a newborn baby. On the back, a date. And an acronym. Project L07. "That's me," Lily said, pointing at the baby. "I mean, it was." Henry tried to speak, but no words came. "You said I was special," she continued. "You said the world wasn't ready yet. That you had to hide me." She stepped closer, resting her small hands on the desk. "But you never came back." The weight of guilt began to crush him slowly. "Lily," his voice came out hoarse. "Sometimes the mind erases things to survive." The girl tilted her head. "So now you're going to remember to pay for it." Before he could answer, Rose appeared at the door, pale as paper. "Lily, get out of here now." The girl looked at her mother. Then at Henry. "He's waking up," she said calmly. "And when he really wakes up, everything will change." She left the office as if nothing had happened. Henry sat there alone, staring at the photo. For the first time, he had no doubts. This wasn't coincidence. It wasn't imagination. The past wasn't just coming back. It was knocking at the door, and it already had the key. After that night in the office, Henry Blackwell could no longer pretend everything was normal. Something inside him had been torn out of place. The photo wouldn't leave his mind. The lab coat, the baby, the acronym, and the woman's face beside him. Now he recognized her. Dr. Elena Vasquez, brilliant geneticist, mysteriously vanished after the Helix Institute closed. Henry spent the early hours in his armchair, the photo on the table, watching the house as if it might answer him. The clock read 3 a.m. when he heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, deliberate. "Rose," he called, without much conviction. The door opened. It wasn't Rose. Lily entered the room without a sound, as always. The dim lamplight cast strange shadows on her face, making her look almost adult. "You didn't sleep," she said. "And you shouldn't be up either," Henry replied. She approached the bed. When people start remembering, sleep runs away. Henry took a deep breath. "Lily, how many times were you in that lab?" She thought for a few seconds. "A lot. But I remember the voices better than the places." "What voices?" "Yours, hers, and the other men's who talked like we were just numbers." The word re-echoed. Henry felt a tightness in his chest. "Are there other children?" The silence that followed was too heavy to ignore. "There were," Lily answered finally. "Some got sick. Others slept forever." Henry closed his eyes. The weight of that sentence crushed any defenses he had left. The next morning, he made a decision he'd put off for years without realizing it. He would confront Rose. He found her in the laundry room, folding sheets with trembling hands. When she saw him, she went pale. "Rose, we need to talk." She knew. From her look, he could tell. They sat at the kitchen table. The bright room contrasted with the darkness building between them. "How long have you known who I am?" Henry asked. Rose took a deep breath, like preparing for a dive with no return. From the beginning. Then why take the job here? Because Lily asked. The answer hit him like a punch. She chose this. She always knew, Rose continued, her voice breaking. From a young age, she said she'd been created by important men. That one of them had the same eyes as her. Henry clenched his fists. Tell me everything, Rose. Everything. And Rose told him. She talked about the Helix Institute, the secret funders, closed-door meetings, and contracts signed in haste. She talked about babies created in labs, using genetic material from powerful men, politicians, businessmen, figures who could never be linked to the project. You were the main investor, she said. And the most involved. Henry felt his throat go dry. I never asked them to create children. You did, Rose replied, with unexpected firmness. You asked them to create something better. Something that could think faster, learn sooner, remember deeper. The memories started breaking through the barrier his mind had built. Meetings, reports, phrases spoken coldly. If we're going to make mistakes, let it be in trying to evolve. When the project started leaking, Rose went on, you all panicked. The order was clear, shut it down. Erase traces, eliminate evidence. Henry stood up abruptly. I didn't order anyone killed. Rose stared at him. But you signed the papers that allowed it. The silence that followed was absolute. I was just a nurse, she said, tears in her eyes. I saw things I'll never forget. When I realized what was coming, I ran with Lily. Faked documents. Hid for years. And why come back now? Henry asked, almost in a whisper. Rose hesitated. Because Lily stopped having nightmares, and started making plans. Before Henry could react, the house lights went out. Everything went dark at once. What was that? He asked. She turned them off, Rose answered. She who? Lily's voice echoed from the hallway. You too. Henry and Rose rushed out of the kitchen and saw the girl standing in the middle of the hall, shrouded in shadow. A tablet glowed in her hands. The house system is old, Lily said calmly. Easy to hack. Henry felt real, raw fear take over. Lily, this isn't a game. She stepped closer slowly. It never was. On the tablet, images started appearing. Files, videos, lab camera footage. Children in incubators, heated arguments. And finally, Henry signing authorizations. You erased this from your head, Lily said. But you forgot to erase it from me. Henry dropped to his knees. I'm sorry. She watched him for long seconds. Sorry doesn't change what happened. What do you want? He asked, defeated. Lily tilted her head. I want you to remember. I want the world to remember. I want no one else to. Pretend they didn't know. The lights came back on suddenly. Rose was crying. Henry realized in that moment that control had changed hands. The past he'd buried didn't just want to be revealed. It wanted justice. And that child, created in silence and abandonment, was now the most dangerous voice he'd ever faced. The real conflict wasn't escaping anymore. It was surviving the truth. Henry Blackwell had always believed the worst moment in a man's life was when he lost everything. He was wrong. The true terror began when he understood why he deserved to lose it. The house was too silent after the revelation. Not the comfortable silence of the early hours, but a heavy, loaded silence, as if the air was waiting for something to happen. Henry stayed sitting on the living room floor, back against the sofa, staring at nothing. Rose had taken Lily to her room. Or at least that's what she said. But Henry knew. Lily was never just in one place. His phone buzzed. A notification. Then another. And another. Emails. Messages. News alerts. He picked up the device with shaking hands. Helix Institute documents leak online. Business leaders involved in illegal genetic experiments. Henry Blackwell at the center of scandal. The blood drained from his face. No, he murmured. He opened one of the links. Videos started playing automatically. Grainy lab footage. Children in incubators. Recognizable voices. His own. We need to accelerate the tests. The human cost is inevitable. Henry threw the phone away. This can't be happening. Lily's voice echoed behind him. It is. He turned in shock. She was at the top of the stairs, sitting on the last step, swinging her feet like she was watching a show. It was you, he said, voice breaking. You did this. Lily didn't deny it. I just gave back what was ours. Ours. Henry stood up, unsteady. You have no idea what you've done. People are going to die because of this. She watched him carefully, no anger on her face. Just clarity. People already died, she replied. And you kept living just fine. Henry climbed a few steps, getting closer. I can fix this. I can pay. I can silence. No, Lily interrupted, firm. You're not silencing anyone else. She came down the stairs slowly, each step deliberate. You created me to be better, remember? To see what others don't. To connect information. To predict moves. She pointed to her head. You gave me this, and thought I'd use it to play. Henry felt a knot in his stomach. You're just a child. That was your mistake, she replied. Thinking I was only that. Rose appeared in the hallway, desperate. Lily, what have you done? She asked, voice trembling. What needed to be done? You promised you wouldn't hurt anyone. Rose yelled. Lily turned to her mother. For the first time, something different crossed her eyes. A hint of conflict. I promised I wouldn't hurt you. Henry realized then. Rose never had any control. How many people did you involve in this? He asked. All the necessary ones, Lily answered. Journalists, prosecutors, international organizations. Henry laughed nervously. You have no idea what you've awakened. These men won't let this slide. Lily gave a slight smile. I know. She walked to the living room wall and touched a painting. Behind it, an electronic panel lit up. Graphs, maps, connections. They're already turning on each other, she said. Trying to shift blame. Freezing accounts. Deleting evidence. It's beautiful to watch. Henry felt his legs weaken. How long have you been planning this? Lily thought for a few seconds. Since I realized you weren't coming back. So all this, he swallowed hard, wasn't to find me. No, she replied. It was so you'd see me. She got very close to him. Look at me. Henry obeyed. The reflection in the mirror behind her showed something disturbing. It wasn't just the physical resemblance. It was the expression, the posture, the same cold look he recognized in himself at his worst moments. You wanted to create a mirror, Lily said. You just didn't expect it to look back. Sirens started in the distance. Henry closed his eyes. What happens now? Lily took a deep breath. Now you do something you've never done before. What? Own up. She placed the tablet in his hands. On the screen, a video ready to send. A full confession, she explained. No lawyers. No spin. Henry looked at the device. Then at Rose. Then at Lily. If I do this, it's over for me. For you, Lily corrected. For me, it's just the beginning. He hesitated. And if I don't? Lily tilted her head. Then I release the rest. Henry realized in that moment there was no choice. There never had been. He hit record. As he spoke, his voice cracked. Every word was a blade. Every confession, a blow to the empire he'd built over decades. When he finished, he collapsed on the sofa, exhausted. Lily reviewed the video, analyzing every detail. Good, she said. This will work. Rose cried silently. Lily, she whispered. What have you become? The girl looked at her mother, then at Henry. I became the result. She went up the stairs again, disappearing down the hallway. Henry sat there, destroyed, as the sirens grew closer. The mirror had bled, and the reflection could no longer be shattered.